Ever pondered how a single individual could alter the course of history? Napoleon Bonaparte, a name synonymous with power and conquest, is one such figure. But how did he rise to power? Born in Corsica in the heart of the Mediterranean, Napoleon Bonaparte was a child of the Enlightenment, his mind shaped by the revolutionary ideas of the time. His education, steeped in military strategy and tactics, fashioned him into a formidable soldier. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. The political climate in France during the late 18th century was a cauldron of chaos and change. The French Revolution had toppled the monarchy, giving rise to an unstable republic. It was a time of great upheaval, ripe for the rise of a charismatic leader. And rise Napoleon did. In 1799, capitalizing on the political instability, he staged a coup and declared himself first consul, effectively becoming the ruler of France. So Napoleon has seized power in a tumultuous France, but what happens next? That's where the true story of the Napoleonic Wars begins. With power comes ambition, and Napoleon had plenty of it. His dream, to make France the dominant power in Europe, and thus the Napoleonic Wars commenced. As the dawn of the 19th century approached, the War of the Third Coalition emerged, painting the backdrop for Napoleon's first series of military triumphs. The Battle of Austerlitz, often dubbed the Battle of the Three Emperors, saw Napoleon's tactical brilliance shine through as he outsmarted the combined forces of Russia and Austria. This victory solidified France's position as a formidable power in Europe. But Napoleon was not one to rest on his laurels. His hunger for dominance led him to the battles of Jena, Auerstedt, and Friedland. His victories were swift, leaving Prussia and Russia licking their wounds. France's influence stretched from the Atlantic to the borders of Russia, painting a large part of Europe in its tricolour flag. However, every conqueror meets adversity. For Napoleon, this came in the form of the Peninsular War and the War of the Fifth Coalition. The Peninsular War, a grueling 6-year conflict in Spain and Portugal, saw the tide turn against him. The War of the Fifth Coalition, although ending in a French victory, marked the beginning of a series of military and political challenges for Napoleon. Yet, the most disastrous campaign was yet to come. Napoleon's Russian campaign, a massive invasion involving over 500,000 soldiers, ended in a catastrophic retreat from Moscow. The harsh Russian winter decimated his Grande Armée, marking a turning point in his conquest. This string of setbacks culminated in Napoleon's defeat at Leipzig, also known as the Battle of the Nations. With a coalition of European powers against him, he stood little chance. In April of 1814, he abdicated at the throne and was exiled to the island of Elba. After a rollercoaster of victories and defeats, Napoleon was exiled. But was this the end of his saga? Far from it. Napoleon, ever the determined warrior, escaped exile and returned to France for what is known as the 100 Days. But this was to be his final act. Rising from the ashes of his past, Napoleon once again grasped the reins of power, igniting the spark of the Seventh Coalition among his European adversaries. Undeterred, he marched onwards, his eyes set on a future of French dominance. This path led him to the rain-soaked fields of Waterloo, where he faced the combined might of the British and Prussian armies. The Battle of Waterloo, a name now synonymous with decisive defeat, was the final curtain call in Napoleon's theatre of war. It was here that his relentless ambition met an immovable force, and his once unstoppable momentum faltered. His defeat at Waterloo led to his final abdication and subsequent exile to St. Helena, a remote island in the South Atlantic where he spent his last days. And thus the Napoleonic Wars ended, leaving an indelible mark on history. Napoleon Bonaparte, a man of ambition and audacity, forever remembered as a conqueror.